My name is Christian Basel. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a Tardis. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With Web show, this is the legend of the traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Today, you're joining, as you can see on your screen, you're on live stream if you're watching from live stream on Facebook. Also, you can catch us on Instagram and then all of the podcast channels such as iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. See, this is what happens when I get to host and Christian does it. He's going to keep clicking different things. Christian, just keep clicking through. We're a very professional radio show. YouTube, you can catch us there too. Radio.com. I don't know what that symbol is.
Spotify, Apple Pod.
Woo!
And on KryptonRadio.com there. Please give us a like when you get a chance out there. Tell your friends. We've got a special announcement right at the end of the show there that we want to tell you about. But we got a special guest today, and I picked out this picture because I thought it was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, look at that.
Now they're going to be disappointed when they see me.
Oh, whatever. Shush.
Aubergine color. Love it. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, gosh.
Good morning.
Our special guest.
It's afternoon here. It's sort of tea time here. So I'm in England. Not in. For some of, apparently we linked up just before we went on air. And for some of the presenters, I'm upside down. So I teased them that I was either a bat or in Australia, but I'm actually in England.
Well, for those of you watching live, go ahead and leave us a little quick comment and see which way Annette is positioned on the screen.
I might be sideways. I might be lying down for some.
But what's greatest today is, as you can see, we have an amazing interview set up today with the amazing and talented Annette Badland. You might have seen her. If you're in the U.S., like most of the people on our panel here, you might have to watch a lot of things from over the pond, maybe from BritBox or Acorn or any of the, or if you do have BBC America, you probably have seen her on, well, for our purposes, Doctor Who as Margaret Blaine, but she has been in, I mean, I'm at that point where I'm going on BritBox and you're everywhere. I've seen you now on Outlander, as Glenna Fitzgibbons. I've seen you on EastEnders. My aunt, who's actually from London, she's like, oh, she was Babe Smith. Oh, she's amazing. She's like the perfect aunt. She's not a mother. Right. She's not a mother figure, but she's the best part. So yeah, so I had an earful
and a little bit scary.
A little bit scary. Yes. But I mean, even there was times
and you get Midsummer too, don't you? Midsummer.
We get Midsummer.
Pathologist in that.
Bergerac.
Yeah.
I saw you at a spot. Was it Father Brown? All of a sudden you appeared. Yeah. I'm like, my Lord, this woman is everywhere.
She is. I define this as Annette Badland is the Hugh Laurie of actresses. She's in everything, whether you like. It's just like one moment you'll see somebody walk into the room and just, wait a minute, isn't that? Okay, that's Annette.
One thing, sadly, I can't play the piano and sing jazz, but
but one thing, and I'm just only touching on the TV things that stateside that we can see. You're also very prolific in theater as well, and even I saw that you did CBBS where you did the nighttime story. Yeah. I saw that
bedtime stories. I loved it. Yeah,
but
very talented.
But for but the one thing I really want to know first, before we even get into Doctor Who, is there you've done so many styles of acting, whether it's drama, you've done a little bit of comedy, you've done everything, especially again, theater, television, film. Is there one that you particularly you're drawn to, or are you someone that just wants to have that range? And if you see a piece,
it's usually the writing. It's usually the writing that draws you, the character and the writing. But my first love is theatre, because that's where I began. It's how I fell in love with acting. So it's, and you know why you're doing it then. The audience let you know. If you can make them cry, you can make them laugh. That's extraordinary, and it's such a gift. And in the theatre, you know it's happening. They're there in your hand, and that you know if you failed as well, if they don't laugh and they aren't moved. So that's my first love. But I enjoy film a lot because it again feeds you. It you know, the ambience and the energy of a building actually feed into what you're doing. So I enjoy film very much too. Just ordinary studio is the hardest. For a little time there, I could only see myself. It was terrifying.
Christian, don't do that.
On my screen, I could only see me. I didn't care for that. I'd rather see all of your lovely faces than mine. Yeah, it's very off-putting trying to talk to myself. Although I do all the time without looking at myself. I often chat to myself. So theatre's first love, and then, as I say, studio is hard. If it's a built set and things, you don't get so much atmosphere from things.
Well, kind of that almost dovetails to another question, the fact that we just saw you on the screen only. I know some actors do not like seeing themselves on screen. Like they just either they don't want to watch it. They it's almost like they have that the mentality of theater, where I'm going to put myself into the role. We're going to see everything. You know, what I'm doing is in the moment. You're going to grasp it. You're going to feed into it. We're good and we're over. The same thing, they kind of translate that into film, or for film and TV, where they do it, they perform, and whatever the camera got. I don't want to see what the editing was. Yeah, are you more that way?
I prefer that. It takes me a long time to look at anything I've been in, and then it's sort of like this. I don't really want to see. I certainly don't. If I'm in a series, that starts to go out and I'm still working on it, I won't look at that at all, because you get influenced. I don't read reviews either, because I was very hurt when I was young. When I started, there was a critic who was very personal and very rude. But also, I don't read them, because if they praise you and they say she was brilliant when she did that, then every night in theatre you go, this is the bit I do really well. You know, you can't help but it influence you. So I stay away from all those things as much as I possibly can. Eventually I might look at stuff, but it does take me a long time.
Christian, I know we also are doing this live, so we have some things in the chat. Is there anybody asking any questions just yet, or any comments whatsoever?
We have Paul Rogerson. A Christmas Carol is a good part too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Miss Fezziwig.
Yes. I did Mrs. Fezziwig twice. I did it with Patrick Stewart, and then did The Man Who Invented Christmas, a film with Dan Stevens, just a couple of years ago. And they were very different. It was both Mrs. Fezziwig, but they were treated very differently. So they were both a lot of fun.
Was it a little, because you had done the role already when you were being called back to kind of reprise that character? What was it that made you kind of know that, as you just said, that they were completely different, even though, I mean, the lines are the same? What was it that you kind of went in there and went, okay, I'm going to change up this nuance? Or how do you approach it when you're like, don't do it the same way?
Because the story was dealt with. It was about Dickens. Dickens had writer's block while he was writing Christmas Carol, and the premise was that he would see ordinary people and turn them into characters. You know, he would steal from them and start writing them as a character. But then he got writer's block, so we all turned up in his studio, you know, in his room, and would go, well, you know, aren't you getting on with it? Or we'd go out with him to look in a shop window. We'd all comment on it, and we were pests, you know, we just wouldn't leave him alone. So I loved that idea, that and a writer will be plagued by those characters in their heads, and I just liked that premise very much and wanted to. And I'd worked with Dan before. I'd worked with Dan in theatre in a play called The Vortex, an old Coward play.
And Annette, I just wanted to bring this up because it was relating to the story you were mentioning earlier about reading reviews and stuff. I just bring up the story because I have a question for it. when I went to a famous acting school down here in Orlando, Florida, which I will not name anymore. I don't even know if they exist. But when they went through the acting thing, they had the graduation class. They were telling people like, oh, you're most likely going to be here. You're going to most likely be this person. You're going to most likely be this actor or a character actor. When they got to me, it was, you're never going to be the leading man. Just flat out said that. It's like, you will never lead in any movie or TV show or radio show, or, anything. I was like, oh, well, that's nice. I gave you a lot of money for you to tell me the obvious.
You were meant to turn me into someone who could
and then I said, well, what do you see me as? And he goes, well, you're most likely going to be the alien in the background, which, hey, what, Doctor Who, what? Guess what? But when you do see those things like there, because I know a lot of people, they take criticism hard. How do you get through that? I know you don't read it, but when you first got into it, when you started reading it, how did you get through it? And when you finally shut it off and said, hey, because I know there's a lot of people out there that take the criticism personally and hard.
I felt I couldn't act. It was, when I first left drama school, I was with the Actors Company. Ian McKellen started a company where the actors chose the directors and not the other way around. So that was my first experience. And then I played Mole in Toad of Toad Hall over Christmas, and then went into the RSC. And it's where I'd always, it was my dream, and I just loved it. And I was Audrey in As You Like It, and the critic was, very rude because I was large, and it hurt. Not only I couldn't understand why he couldn't see beyond that. It negated any acting, any character. All he saw was a fat woman. He called me a heavy-duty lorry. Why did they have to cast a cute, heavy-duty lorry?
Please tell me this person's not working anymore.
I think he's dead.
Okay,
But it meant for a while, I didn't want to go and act. I knew the audience were responding well to me, but and as I say, what hurt most was I thought, well, he can't see what I'm trying to do. He can't see the person. He can only see the exterior. Mm-hmm. So that was tough for quite a few months to work through it and just keep going out there. I didn't want to go out there. It was really very difficult because I thought, is that what other people are seeing? Is that all they see?
Mm-hmm. What do you think now of the current state of just the industry in general, and how you're seeing more representation, not just in race, but also in body types? You're seeing a lot more body positivity. You're seeing a lot more people than just the cookie cutter physicality. So what do you think?
Isn't it? Because it reflects reality. It's what we all are. There, very few people are perfect, and that makes us more interesting. And it comes from other places. And I love all the Scandi dramas, and often those, the actors in that are not stereotypical. They're very different, and we're moving along that same route now, which is fantastic. Can only be good for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I'm going to pause this real quick for a quick commercial break. And when we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Annette Badland. So keep listening. We'll be right back.
It's Germany, 1938. Charlotte is a 15-year-old girl living in the Jewish quarter. George lives in the city proper, and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into his cobbler shop, George decides right then and there that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo and their dramatic escape from Nazi Germany. Good Things Always Happen in Springtime, from author Joanne Fisher, on Amazon.com today.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
Unleashing hunters into the ruin wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal.
Wonder and adventure.
In the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
Beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
And we're back. Thank you so much for listening to The Legend of the Traveling Tardis. We're going to continue our conversation with the amazing Annette Badland. One question that we did have in the chat, and that is from Gretchen Greer. And that was, what was your favorite role to play?
Oh, this is always a hard one. There are about half a dozen. I know what I'm meant to say, Margaret Blaine, immediately. It's high up there, I tell you. But for an actor, there's always only about half a dozen roles that they really kind of adored playing, and it can be for different reasons. It's circumstance or the role itself. Margaret Blaine is pretty high, and certainly with Russell writing Boomtown for me, that was an enormous gift, because when we did the first 2 eps, there was never, Boomtown wasn't on the map at all. So that came as a huge gift. And he'd written everything in there. There was humor and there was pathos and, wonderful lines and situations. And Russell is just fabulous and can write a single line that has several emotions in it. It can be amusing, but it can then turn entirely into something else. So I did enjoy that enormously. I played Sadie in the film. Well, I did the play The Rise and Fall of Little Voice with Jane Horrocks and Alison Steadman, and then we did the film with Brenda and Michael Caine. And Sadie was wonderful because on the page she was only about 12 okays and about 2 sentences, but she had such a wonderful journey and was the heart of the piece. And so I loved it. It wasn't so developed in the film. The play, was showing that much more, but I really loved playing Sadie May. Jabberwocky, because of the working with the Pythons. Mad Terry Gilliam and wonderful Michael Palin, and I'm collecting the Pythons because Terry Jones was there, but then I also did a project with Terry later on, and then a couple of years ago I worked with John Cleese, so I've almost got the whole set.
I don't know if you remember.
You love things for different reasons,
right?
I don't know if you remember, Steve Martin did some kind of biography about the Pythons. And at the end, at the end of the biography, he goes, "Where are all the Pythons now?" He goes, "Well, they're in this room." And he opens up the closet and all the Monty Pythons are there. And I'm thinking that's your closet right there. There's everybody.
Yep, that was called Parrot. Yeah, I remember that one. That was called Parrot Sketch Not Included.
Hey, folks, Melanie, if you don't mind, we're going to go to the chats for just a moment there. Stephen Knight just gave a big He's excited. We have Lady Gallifrey. Hello there, Lady Gallifrey. Thank you for joining us out there. And we also have Graham Corsi. He says, "Good morning, everyone."
Good morning to you.
Morning over here.
There you go, Graham.
You're still in your PJs with a coffee.
I have no pants on. Anyway, Ellen or
you tell us.
Wait a minute here.
We don't want evidence. It's fine.
Everybody will know my religion at this point. I think this is an answer to a previous one. Laura Colley Keaton.
It might be somebody just tagging somebody to come
watch the show there. And Paul Rogerson comes up and says, "Have you got on a t-shirt yet that says 'I'm shaking my booty'?"
No, I haven't. I shouldn't I?
Yeah,
you should have it on the back of my jogging pants or something.
Yes.
I gotta ask. I gotta bring you back to that episode where you said this episode was written to you, but then you must have at one point read the script, saw that you were an alien, and go, "Wait a minute, what does she do now?" Just like, and trust me,
Russell was there at the very beginning, and he described. I've actually still got a drawing he did for me because we didn't know what they looked like.
Right.
So he wanted that baby aspect of them that could then be quite nasty. I mean, the flatulence is a very English gift, isn't it?
You said it, not me.
When I first watched the show, I couldn't get through the first 2 episodes from all the flatulence jokes. I really couldn't. And then everyone's like, you just got to just press on. You can do this. So I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of Aliens of London or World War III. But when we got to Boomtown, me and my husband were like, just try, we can do this. We can watch Doctor Who. Everyone else loves Doctor Who. My cousin won't shut up about the show. We can do it. You completely opened my eyes. The moment where I went, okay, I have to watch this, is watching that dinner scene between you and Eccleston.
Yes.
And just, I mean, it's not like there's all this meaty dialogue in it, but the way it's architected and the way that it keeps flipping, where you are just saying that, you know, you saw this girl in the loo and you spared her. So shouldn't you spare me? And it was just this amazing banter back and forth where you just could see where, I mean, he's like, oh, well, you know, so you're almost begging, but, you know, and then he's turning around and says, well, you know, you spared one this time, you know, just because of a whim, blah, 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 blah. But then your character just turns and goes, only a killer would know that. So it's just the positing back and forth and then going. So here you're like high ground. It kept shifting the high ground of the conversation.
She was the first character who'd confronted him about his morals.
Yes, absolutely.
He isn't whiter than white or the great hero. She was the, you know, that Slitheen was the first person, Blon was the first person to kind of challenge him and confront him. Yeah, it was glorious. And it took a lot. I was filming something else, a series called Cutting It in Manchester. So it was logistically quite difficult to make it work because I had to get down to Cardiff. Chris had to come off. He was filming another episode entirely. And because of the windows and actual daylight, we had to film it, you know, in real time. And so it took a lot for everyone to make it happen. And it was just worth it because it's Russell's writing. It's rich stuff, and you've again got the humor, you know, the kind of her trying to attack him and him foxing her, but yeah, lovely, wonderful writing, great stuff.
I mean, that the beginning of the episode of you running back and forth being caught, you know, it was such a nice slapstick, light, fun comedy, but that
and having lines like dinner in bondage works for me.
When
he said,
that's RTD all over it. That's RTD.
I just keep getting a chuckle imagining the pitch meeting. Okay, well, you look like yourself, but you're actually this thing in a zipper suit and you're going to fart a lot. And
yep. You just say, yes, please, go on then. I still scare little boys in supermarkets if they're kind of following me, or I just have to put my finger and they all run away.
That's how you maintain your social distancing right now in these times. You're like, you're not 6 feet away.
I can see you at the supermarket going, it's a long line, it's a long wait. Oh yeah, whatever.
And she was lonely, you know. There was all sorts of stuff in Margaret Blaine because she was that scene where she's sitting in the toilet alone and miserable, and you know, it's extraordinary stuff to see.
Honestly, you brought a lot of for the big first season of Doctor Who. I believe you and your character was the first time that we saw that the range of the tone of this show and how much drama, how real, and even to a certain how gritty it could be. With again sitting in the loo and just you're having a little bit of an identity crisis, really, because you're like, wait, who am I? I need to survive, but this isn't me. And I mean, astoundingly brilliant. I mean, there's times where whenever someone now, you know, in the realm of the show, they say, who's your favorite villain? It's always you, honestly. It absolutely is, because that part of Boomtown, I mean, you're the reason that changed me to keep going with New Who, honestly. Because even in that dinner scene, you're your micro expressions, your posture, and how in the beginning you were powerful, you were ready to do, you know, tete-a-tete, but then at that very part where the begging part, your eyes just slightly glazed, and you could see there was a begging behind the surface. Yeah, so I could just sit here and gush all the time, so I'm going to be quiet. Although if you want it, you can have it. But I'm sure Jessica, jump in. I know you have questions for her, and I'm not gonna, you know,
take them all. No,
I'm glad she converted you anyway. that storyline converted you.
Oh yeah, it's just brilliant. And of course, doing your research, I've seen you, as Melanie was saying earlier, we see you in everything, and it's just absolutely brilliant, your versatility, and everything. Some of my favorite things that I noticed that you had done, so putting like Doctor Who with that, but then I saw you also were able to be Madame Arcady in Blythe's Spirit. Yeah. But then you've also played in Bad Girls someone with a dissociative identity disorder. And I watched that because I work for a hospital as an actor to help train them. And I've been able to do schizophrenic, and it's a blast. So I was wondering, with such versatility between playing an alien and Doctor Who, which is just anyone's dream, especially if you're English, to be on Doctor Who and be an alien. Yes. And but being able to play the quirky Madame Arcady from Blythe's Spirit, I mean, you've just got such a range, and you've got a type, and you stick within your type, but even within that type, you get to do so much as an actor, and it's inspirational as an actor talking with someone who's been able to have and just own your own type. But I was wondering, within that, was there a most difficult role, especially with, you know, maybe the Slitheen or something like that, of finding the humanity in something that's not human, or finding the truth behind someone with a mental disorder, or any of these things? And I was just wondering what your take, or something that was a huge challenge to you within those roles, because you're brilliant in all of them. So
thank you. I try and find often the opposite from what it seems to be. If you're the villain, there's often an Achilles heel, or, you know, a weak point, or a vulnerable point, a reason why you are as you are. Babe in EastEnders was villainous and wicked, and but she'd never been loved. Never in her life. No one had ever loved her. And so she wanted to be loved, and she'd try and find a way in. And then when it went wrong, resentments would build, and she'd be vengeful. And so it's finding because we're all complex. We're none of us linear, and you just have to find, well, for me, I liked it to be as rich as it possibly can be. So I try and find the opposite from what seems to be the person. And I like those things. In Bad Girls, I suppose I hoped I'd be sort of a bit like Ray Winston, but ended up a bit more Ross Kemp, I think, because the disorder was that she became male, she became masculine, and so that was very tricky to divide in your head, really. That was kind of quite a tricky place to go. I played a role in a series called Cutting It, where I was an awful mother to Sarah Parish and Angela Griffin, and that was written by Debbie Horsfield, who people will know from Poldark, writes Poldark. Mm-hmm. And that character hated herself, but that manifested in her being vile to others. And she abused herself. She was, you know, overweight, ate dog food, would abuse her children, used people. But somewhere she felt that she'd never had what she deserved, and she'd been a dancer when she was younger, and so those things, it's such a rich world to inhabit. And if I'm doing a play, I love the research, the period, and the, like the Noel Coward, or I was in Edward II, and you just finding out about other lives, and the more research you can do, the richer it becomes, and the more satisfying it becomes for you and the audience. Nothing is straight. None of us are straightforward. We're all complex beings, and whether we're aliens or people with personality disorders, we're all complex and rich. Even Midsummer's, the pathologist there, she's naughty and cheeky with, she doesn't just do her job. It's terrific. I like that complexity to things.
Right. Well, I'm going to put a little quick pause in this conversation because we need to go to a commercial break. When we return, we will continue our conversation with Annette Badland. So thanks for listening, and give us just a moment.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. When corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well, an unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Thank you again for listening to The Legend of the Traveling Tardis. You're here with Melanie Dean, Christian Basel, Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress, Jessica from Swan Songs Cosplay, and the amazing Annette Badland. We're wrapping up our interview now. I wanted to just throw it out to the entire panel, or even in the chat, if anyone else had any other questions.
Well, we do have
so fast, doesn't it?
We do have chats.
Here just listening.
We do have chats. Give me a second there. Let me pull them up there. We have Paul Rogerson again. Did you get to keep your zip? Of all things you want to ask.
It was the BBC. Of course I didn't.
Yeah.
It had to be
I've heard
made.
stories.
It had to be specially made for me because they were too big. Because I was working with men, and they thought a stock zip would do, and it didn't. So I had to have a little pretty pink one made, all of my own.
Oh my God. And we have Graham Krause playing a villain that the whole audience has empathy for by the end, Boomtown. And you just put love, love, love. I got to say this, because when I first saw Aliens of London in World War III, we were just, okay, this is a new alien. This is kind of different, really different. Of course, it's Russell T. He has to have flatulence in there. There's got to be something. But I've got to go on top of Melanie with this. When Boomtown came around, this is, I think, what RTD wanted. First of all, were you a Whovian before you got the role, or were
when
you aware
I
of
was
that?
little? I'm way back at the beginning, so I hadn't maintained it as I grew. I suppose I'd kind of gone away by Tom Bates. I saw Tom, and I know Louise. Louise and I were at the RSC together. So Lou Jameson. So I was watching then, and then as I got older, it sort of dissipated. And of course, when we started making it, nobody knew if the audience would like it. And it was made by people who loved it. And I think that's why it worked. Russell, Phil, Chris, everybody really loved Who. And when I was offered it, and I was going, I'm going to be Doctor Who, I'm going to be a Doctor. And other actors were going, oh yeah, right, well, you know. And now people, Knights of the Realm, kill to be in it. But there was a, you know, they just didn't know if the audiences would take to it or not. So it was just a glorious beginning, you know, that passion for it. Everybody just putting so much into it. They didn't know how long prosthetics would take.
Right.
They, you know, that just everything was an unknown quantity. So
I think
a huge adventure.
But I got to see when Boomtown, this is why I wanted to really compliment you on that. You took that character, fleshed it out. And it was RTD writing and you and Chris taking some beautiful poetry and just writing it out over there. And even though it was a spoof, kind of in the way that she shot her finger and the barb came out over there, it, I think, emulated some of the best of what classic Who was brought into new Who. And you two did an extraordinary job with RTD's writing in that moment, where it was comedic, it was funny, and yet it pulled your heartstrings. So you didn't know whether to cry of joy or cry of laughter or cry of sadness. It was just that moment. I think when people ask me, you know, what are some of the defining moments of Doctor Who in New Who, I have to go and put that scene there. And the very scene where she converts back, she's an egg.
Yes, with a little rest ahead.
Yeah, where you just were that moment where we, you know, was she really a bad guy? Was she given the chance? Where you know, what would have happened if she chose a different path, or the path was chosen different for her? Did she get really the bad end of the stick? Who knows? But she's given a second chance, and it was just translated brilliantly by all three of you guys, including Billy Piper and everybody in there.
Yes,
it was
and she thanked him too. You know, she says thank you.
Yeah.
So she's in pain. You know, it's someone who isn't at ease, isn't comfortable, isn't entirely villainous, isn't, you know,
exactly
said all those complex things again.
And we'll give her a second chance. We'll let you write the story and define whether she becomes the same person or does she finally get a chance there. Melanie, I'm just going to throw in one more chat if you don't mind. We got Weena Preston. Did anybody really trump in the something costume?
You think I'm going to give those secrets
How method are you?
It depends on the catering, doesn't it?
I would have paid real money if you sat there on the couch and go, wait. Wait a second. Let me show you.
I do have actually a question regarding your theater work. Do you find that, is there a particular theater, the house itself, that you find that that's home, that wherever, if you're either, I'm trying to think about the Wyndham in London, or is there a specific theater that you find you'll play anywhere on any stage, but those particular boards just you feel home?
I loved being at the Globe, which I've done fairly recently, the last few years, and I played both the Globe and the Wanamaker in the winter, and they are both magical spaces. And the Globe is huge, but you feel connected to everybody in there and the response of it and the ethics of the building, and I just adored being there. And then the Wanamaker is tiny and wooden and candlelit. There's no electric lighting, so just a magic place. I loved the Aldwych when I was there with Little Voice, and Manchester Royal Exchange being in the round I enjoyed very much, where I did Madame Arcati. And I worked with Alan Ayckbourn in Theatre in the Round before it moved to the Stephen Joseph, so it was still in a school, an old school converted, and that was pretty unusual and exciting.
That just came up with another idea. But the question was, How do you feel with, or how comfortable are you working in the round? Because that's a completely different style of blocking and acting, because your audience isn't just through that proscenium. It's
You have to keep
everywhere.
moving. You have to
a
keep
little bit more
moving
exercise.
and you have to act with your back. You have to be aware that those people behind you
Mm-hmm.
get your emotion from what they see, your back doing, your head doing, the way you sound. When this all kicked off, the coronavirus, I was up in Liverpool, the Everyman, which I was at in 1979, and there was a general strike. I mustn't go there again because there was a general strike when I was last there.
Oh no!
And now this time coronavirus. So I don't know what I'm being told, but it's a beautiful theatre. It won Architects Awards, and it feels like it's hugging you. It's great. But it's a thrust stage. So again, you have to be aware. You have to keep moving. You have to keep stirring around as characters. You can't be in one place for too long, so everybody gets to see what's going on. But again, that thing of they're also behind you and need to know the story. So they've all been exciting spaces for me, I guess.
So to tie in the physicality, so the physicality, you've had a lot of experience with the stage and physicality and being able to act with your back. So bringing that back to Doctor Who with the Slitheen, how did you approach that type of physicality of being an alien and a human in everything else? Was that a fun thing to kind of approach with figuring out that physicality?
Yeah, I mean, because I never wore a suit. They were 6 foot tall men, and we'd take the heads off and you'd just see 2 desperate eyes and a sweaty forehead. We'd give them a drink of water and a cigarette and put the head back on and they'd go off again. So I suppose I had to think about a huge being inside a human body is like the running, kind of that desperate thing in the running. Those were the things I sort of thought about, or where the menace would cut, how the menace might manifest itself. But I think they enjoyed, once they assumed the human character and skin, they would enjoy inhabiting that part of themselves, bringing that to life. So I didn't try to be a Slitheen, really. It was a Slitheen inside a human form.
I didn't know if you changed I didn't know if you changed where your energy came from. Because, like saying with the dissociative identity disorder, when you change to a male, your energy is coming from a lot lower regions.
Yes.
I didn't know with the Slitheen if maybe you had changed where your energy was coming from. Or, as you said, they were just taking on that human persona in that moment, and it was all feminine and right there in that body.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think I thought about ill-fitting, really the alien inside this smaller form, and it wouldn't be particularly gainly, or they wouldn't be able probably to become very chic or feminine, or it would have to be more lumbering than that.
Great, I love it.
This is just an excuse for my bad running.
Well, you're wearing heels too.
So you're heels, yeah.
You were in heels, and I believe like a pencil skirt. That's not running attire.
That damn sonic screwdriver.
In fact, I think we give you a bell curve just for that. It's like, yeah, I'm like, you ran faster than I would expect somebody else.
It's like they gave you the tools to get in that.
We got a few chats left that have just come up. We're coming up to a commercial break, but let me go ahead and run through the chats there. Nicole Smith, my cousin in Maryland, just said love Boomtown. So there you go. She loved it. Nisha Mulchin, sorry. Nisha Mulchin said good morning, team, and good morning, Nisha. She runs a Diversity Tuesday. Yeah.
I hope you have a good day.
Mariah says hi. Mariah Greer.
Hi.
Hi, yes. And Gretchen's back. Dr. Freedom, we haven't heard from
Well,
you know,
you
Lady
missed it. It was
Gallifrey doesn't
right.
have Lady Gallifrey would actually be, you know, have no problem with that.
I assure you, this is not a recording. I'm live.
Dr. Freedom's live before a taped audience. That's how he's worked that out. Before we go to commercial break, Melanie, we just want to make an announcement to everybody. Today is, as we're recording this, if you're listening to us live on the Facebook page, today is May the 16th, and 3 days from now, we're going to be celebrating the Legend of the Traveling Tardis's 8th birthday on May 19th. It have been 8 years since that little box traveled, and arguably Facebook says this is the very first picture that I took of the traveling TARDIS 8 years ago. and the running gag is that it was supposed to go in places where the Doctor's TARDIS hasn't, and now we have today these pictures there. And things like that. And things like that. And definitely everybody seems to love this picture the most. Things like that. That traveling TARDIS has traveled a lot, and it's only been 8 years, and now we are going. And if you could let people know, it would be a great 8th birthday for the traveling TARDIS. We are closing in at 34,000 subscribers on the Facebook page. We're just like 100 people away. Yeah, I know. 8 years with that little piece of metal that Melanie has. I don't have. It's a Melanie there. And we got one last chat. Well, that's just Mariah saying, yay, congrats. Yep, thank you, Mariah there. Yes. So, Annette, we know you need to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, Melanie, you wrap it up. This is your show. No, it's okay. Melanie, you wrap it up. You're on mute. No.
Oh, sorry. Because everything makes again, thank you, Annette, for joining us. I know that you have a very, very busy day today because you did an Outlander piece. Now you're going to continue the press junket from your couch, which has to be nice. I mean, you have to run around and go from one place to another place and go, when am I going to eat? I'm starving. I need to pee. You're like, hold on, I'll be right back. And you're good to go. But
this will be the final question, because we know only got a minute. Have you seen Katie O'Mara as the Ronnie? If you think Margaret would get on well with the Ronnie, I think you get on with Katie O'Mara.
I think she's fabulous, so I think we'd have a very good time together. She's pretty good at being villainous.
Well, Annette, thank you so much.
I might have to eat her as a snack, though.
Oh.
Is that all right?
Absolutely. Not going.
Thank you once again. We really
my great pleasure, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday to you.
You got it.
Thank you so very much, Annette. Good luck to you. Safe travels. Is there anything that you want to plug where people can follow you, where people can see you? Anything you're currently working on?
Well, nobody's doing anything. I mean, Midsummer is what I'm meant to be doing now, but we hope to go in September. I was doing a Swim 22, which was for Diabetes UK, but that's not because I don't have my own pool. I was going to swim the equivalent of the Channel. 22 miles. Oh. You don't have to do it in one go. You can do it in small stages, but we've had to put it on hold. So that will be happening, I hope, once the pool opens.
Do you have any type of social media following or address where people can follow you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, but I tend to, it's Twitter I do most, I guess.
Okay. All right. We'll put all your information below.
Follow you and say hello.
Yes, and cheer you on when it's time to start swimming the Channel again.
And I might get back on Outlander one day. You never know. And even Doctor Who. Yeah, she could come back.
She should come back. She should.
Very true.
And thank you so much. Thank you.
My
you have a great day.
Great pleasure. I wish you all well and stay safe and stay sane. Well, as best you can.
Thank you, Annette. And always, this is always an invitation to come back. So I'll let you know, and I'll let you know when the audio is ready for this. So thank you so much. You have a great time and stay safe out there. And we'll see. Yes, we'll see you around.
Thank you. Thank you. That was amazing. That was amazing. Everybody.
That was amazing. Melanie, keep control of yourself.
Did you tell her we're still on the air?
Yeah. I think she can hear us in the studio. So
I can see the live button.
Yeah, you can see the live button. Annette, thank you so much.
If we want to continue the conversation, at least to go in talking about more about Boomtown, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we go and we'll keep it going. So since we still have like a little bit more time we can go for. So stay logged in, stay tuned, and become part of the legend.
Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish.
Santa, if there's one thing I want for Christmas more than anything, it's someone to spend Christmas with. Someone who really wants me to be there.
Head to the mountains of East Tennessee with romance author Jenna Hart for a Christmas writer's workshop. Since her mother passed after a long illness, Jenna has had one wish. She doesn't want to spend Christmas alone. Meeting Niccolo Maldini, cover model and actor, could make more than Jenna's Christmas wish come true. Unless Ember, Niccolo's ex-girlfriend, does something crazy to stop them from being together. It's a mountain Christmas romance you won't want to miss in Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish. Now on Amazon.com.
I have to confess, I'm really stinking at time right now. I think we got like 7 minutes left or something like that.
Don't worry, I've been keeping an eye on it.
You gonna keep an eye on it? Oh,
Yes,
okay. Good for you.
Specifically, I was going to do it in my head because that live counter is so much easier.
Okay.
Because you can just know it's every 13.
Oh, okay. I've been writing down. I've been live counting, but I've been watching my clock. I've been watching the actual time. But
now with that live counter, you can do that. Absolutely. So now I'm going to give myself 5 and then just put the mark of when we're coming back.
Yeah.
I can see that now. Great job keeping the time, Tardis boy.
Shut up. Shut up, Freedom Man.
And we're still in an edit. We're still live.
Oh, no, we're keeping this on. This is all staying in.
Okay, well, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. This is Melanie Dean. Christian Basil's up there laughing his ass off. Dr. Freedom Brian Burress over on that side, also laughing his ass off. And Jessica from Swan Song Cosplay. I wanted to say Jessica Womack, but I wasn't sure if you're going to take the name yet or not because you had gotten your last name married. That fun. Wasn't sure.
Yeah, still don't know. Yeah.
And girl, I'm still Dean. I've been Dean all my life. I haven't changed it. We've been married 15 years and it's just easier. So
we're that last name Swan Cosplay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who needs the last name?
Yeah, exactly.
Cosplay. Boom, we're done.
All we need.
Welcome to our last segment. As you can see, it's kind of been a little bit of free form since I don't know where we're editing this back because Christian's like, oh, everyone just kept talking to me.
I know, and that's a hard.
I know now how you feel when you edit this show. There, well, actually, we have 5 chats left over from the show. Let me go ahead and get that. Nicole Smith, my cousin, great interview. Thank you so much. Absolutely love this interview, Nisha. Yes, please check out Diversely Geek. On Facebook, on her Twitter, and definitely on her live YouTube channel. Gretchen Greer, thank you so much for a wonderful interview, and yay Outlanders. There you go. And nice one, an enjoyable panel, Paul Rogerson. Thank you so much out there. Mariah laughed out loud. Way to go. And Paul's back. But are you better at keeping relative dimensions in space? No.
Yes.
She has my TARDIS right now, and I haven't seen it for 3 months.
It's safe.
I know.
It's kind of isolation.
I'm not saying that it wasn't safe.
It's been hanging out with this and every Zoom call that I have. It's literally these two.
For those of you on the who are listening to us on the audio, Melanie's holding up what is that? A doggy?
It's the plush version. If you know the meme, this is fine. I'm okay with events as they're happening. It's the dog that's surrounded by the house inside that's catching on fire. It's the stuffed version of that dog from Topatco. I can never say Topatco. Topatco. Topato Corporation. Basically, the important thing is it's the artist who made that meme. It's the artist who drew it, so it's the artist who came up with the dog. So I'm very much on famous.dog. This is him. So yeah, I have him in every Zoom meeting. Basically, this is fine.
Oh my God.
He's in the background. He's hanging out with the Tardis. So yeah.
What do you guys, I guess for its 8th birthday, what is your favorite memory of anything that the Traveling Tardis has done over in its 8 years, to all of you? Yeah, Melanie just holding it tightly.
Well, I mean, when it comes to all the, I mean, you could easily say which photo you love the most, and quite frankly, it's got to be it. Okay, one, the 12th, when it's the 12th Doctor holding it, that photo is the most amazing thing in the world. But I think the funniest, my favorite thing, kind of also talking a little bit about the dog and how giving it the credit to the artist, is how many times I see the photo of River or Alex Kingston and Karen Gillan holding the TARDIS, and it's being used on every other meme I've ever seen in the world.
I know.
So many people use your photograph, and I'm like, I know where that photo, who owns that photo and what TARDIS that is. So I honestly, it's like a little kind of nuance of something that's kind of a favorite. Going, you know what? Keep spreading the love. Keep circulating. You know, it's like that Mystery Science Theater thing of keep circulating the tapes. It's like it's cool.
I'm just going to say this. The photos were meant when they first originally started out to be something that people could play with, share with, and stuff like that. But I've seen them in memes. And I don't know, this particular picture was actually made into a print. Somebody painted this. I don't know if you remember that. I'm showing the Capaldi picture. And somebody actually at the bottom here, where the TARDIS is, because we straightened up his hand. It was actually till Jessica. Yeah. Do that again. We got to get. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. This.
Brian's not even caring. He's just like, I'm not
okay. Brian's he's going like, is the show over? The bottom there has somebody had painted. I don't know if you remember the picture from, I forgot what was it, Flatliners, where the Doctor shrunk and he's getting out of the smaller TARDIS.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody had made that Flatline. Yeah, Flatline. Yeah. Somebody had painted that. I really was so enthused by it. I was like, first of all, I'd like to get the credit because there we go, but I wanted to buy the painting and I can't find the art.
And I know at some point I saw
I'm just like, I gotta get that. And it's like,
that's the worst thing I think for any, for any artist, that their stuff just gets screenshot and then forwarded on, or if you put a signature in it, it gets photoshopped over.
Yeah.
So it's like, will you please give the artist their due? Please. Yeah. And it would be kind of neat to know, who painted that other one, because it was a digital oil and it was just breathtaking. And it's I would love to give credit, but
I was going to buy it.
I'm not going to ever, and that's one thing. I'm going to quickly jump onto a soapbox very quickly. If you ever see any of those things on Facebook where it says, buy this print, buy this thing, and you see it says Facebook is a pretty picture or something that's on canvas or it's a shower curtain, it's probably stolen art. It's probably not the artists themselves. That's what my one fear is, finding one of those kind of things that you've taken, that someone from overseas, usually it's all either a Chinese one, because they're protected by IP a little bit, because you can't, because of international law. You'll notice that happening a lot on Facebook. So
yeah, I keep telling friends of mine, it's like, look, I know you think you're, but always, if you have original art out there, put a watermark over it. I said, it is annoying, yes, but it does save you a lot of trouble in the end, especially when you walk into a convention one day and, oh, look, there's my artwork on about 100 T-shirts.
Yep.
It's like,
absolutely.
So
always, and not just a watermark of a little name over it. No, you need to cover this. When this goes online, the watermark will literally be over his face.
Yep.
All my art is my logo over that. So you can't just put the heel brush on it and go, oh, look, it looks pretty.
Because I have a friend of mine who used to do set photos and all that. He'd go to the Doctor Who sets and all that. And then all of a sudden, his set photos were popping up in various online magazines, some of which I won't name, such as, like... the Mirror.
It rhymes with...
And he finally, I told him, look, you've got to put that on there. And sure enough, from now on, he watermarks every one of his photos. I said, well, people's like, well, that's annoying. It's like, no, that's called someone else is going to take your property and make money off it.
Yeah. Yes. It's your hard work. Get your money for it. Your compensation for it. Even if it's a Coke.
Especially because he's a great photographer. And it's like, it's like, now I can understand why he's upset, because he has such a passion for it. And then he finds out somebody else took his work and made money off it without his knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not even, these photos are meant to share. And for those of you on YouTube and watching us live, here's the picture that Melanie was talking about.
Oh,
yep, that's it. That's
that picture, gets memed up like crazy. And then when I see the posting somewhere, I just usually send a nice little message to the originator and go, hey, by the way, that's my picture. Can you just give me a little tag? That's all I'm asking.
Which I think the hilarious thing is that you clearly took a photo of a photograph, because you can kind of see the curls on the bottom.
You can see the curls in the corners there.
You'll see the curl. You'll see that. I'm like, but yeah, that's. But I mean, when you were first doing that, you wanted to spread the love. Go ahead, use these. Now, as you've kind of gotten along, you're like, all right, well, watermark. And you've got one hell of a beautiful logo to watermark on top of things.
I know. I don't want to do that because it just makes it
do
weird.
it.
I'm going to have to.
Do it.
Do it
now. Good morning, Mark. Thanks for joining us there. And awesome wake up. Oh, Candace, thank you. Yes, for joining us. She was telling me that she's in Colorado. She said, I don't know, only if the dog will wake me up while I do that. Awesome to wake up. Thank you so much. Yes, you guys, thank you so much for joining us there. And brilliant. Oh, thank you, Paul Order saying. He said brilliant pick. So I think we're really out of time.
No, we can wrap up now. Well, there's a section there that's going to get edited, but
But do you want to do this, Melanie? You did the whole show, and you want to wrap her up?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So I guess. Okay. Bye.
It's been fun. We're done. Wrap it up.
I just got that vibe, where she's just sitting there and she goes, "Go away."
Go away. Yes.
Go away. We're done here.
So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give the final wrap up. So thank you, everybody, for listening in and joining us for our wonderful interview with the amazing and talented Annette Badland. Again, at the once we start posting this, we're going to go ahead and put our social media channels on there. As she stated before, she's more Twitter based than anything. So make sure you kind of give her that follow on Twitter. I'm Melanie Dean. Above me, if you're watching the StreamYard, is Christian Basel, our normal host of the Traveling Tardis, but because I'm such a big Badland fangirl, he let me kind of host. Dr. Freedom, Brian Burress himself, and Jessica Womack from Swan Cosplay. So make sure you go ahead and give her a follow too. Watch her on Instagram, especially because she's always putting out amazing stuff. Same thing. And
I think we're losing.
Melanie, you're going into